child Willie.
Hey, hi guys, welcome to Wild Willie's Book Reviews. Today I'm with Dan Gutman, author of My Weird School series, which I have actually a bunch of the books here. Mr. Louie is Screwy, Miss Lily is Silly, The $1,000,000 Shot, Mayor Humble is in Trouble, and 4 books in one of this one. So is there anything you want to say about yourself to introduce you?
Well, I'll just say my name is Dan Gutman. I live in New York City. I've been writing for a long time, not always for kids. Excuse me. I started out writing for grown-ups a long time ago, and I started writing for kids when my son Sam was born a long time ago, and I love doing it. It makes me feel good. It really gets a lot of kids excited about reading and writing, and I just it's fun to just like write some silly words on a page, Willie, and just get kids excited about reading and writing. And so that's why I do it, and I'm having fun. Did you see the newest My Weird School book, Willie?
No, I didn't.
Yes, Ms. Jojo. You see, the stress level at elementary school is way too high, Willie. So they decide to bring in Ms. Jojo, who is a wellness expert, to try and relax everybody. So she teaches the kids how to do stuff like turtle yoga and so on. So it's really fun, and I hope everybody will check it out. Okay, so that's what I'm all about, Willie, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have for me.
So, is there a way that you got started, or was it just your son was born and you thought it might be like a cool way to inspire him to read more?
Well, I never took any writing classes in my life. I went to college, and I finished college, and I didn't know what to do with myself, and I thought, what do I like to do? And I always enjoyed writing letters to my friends. So I just decided to start writing, at first for grown-ups, and I was trying to write screenplays and magazine articles and newspaper articles and books for adults. And nothing was really successful, and I wasn't that good at it, I don't think. And then in 1990, my son Sam was born, and I started reading a lot of children's books for the first time since I was a kid. And I thought, hey, let's try writing for kids. Nothing else is working. So I just started writing for kids. And as soon as I started writing for kids, I felt this is what I'm good at. This is what I should have been doing all along. So I just completely switched to writing for kids. And I've been doing it since, I think, like 1995-ish, something like that.
So, I think it was last year that you were doing readings over Facebook Live. Have you thought about, especially now, doing more of those, or was that just kind of like a last year you had some spare time and it was something that you enjoyed to do?
Well, it was because of the pandemic, really. As soon as it started, I got a bunch of emails from teachers basically saying, would you give us permission to do read alouds of your books for our students who are studying at home? And I thought, well, first of all, I didn't even know that they had to ask permission. I thought anybody could do that. But I said, sure, you can, absolutely, if you want to. And then it occurred to me, hey, if they're doing it, why can't I do it? So I started doing it, and I got a huge response. So many people tuned in, and so many people thought it was wonderful that I just decided to do it through the summer. And I did 100 episodes of that, which, by the way, anybody can watch. They're on my website, which is just www.dangutman.com, or you can view them on YouTube. I mean, just search for them. And I started doing them. I did 100 of them. And after that, the summer was coming to an end. The kids were starting to go back into school, and it was really hard work. Even though it was only like 20, 25 minutes a day, I was spending like 3 hours of my day preparing for the thing. So I decided to stop doing it at that point because I had other things to do. And so I have no intentions of doing it again. But you never know. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point. It was really enjoyable.
So, you mentioned about like writing kids' books because it was something that you knew you were good at. Is there a book or series that you enjoyed writing the most?
Um, I like them all, but I'll tell you, my favorite of all my books is one you probably never heard of, Willie, because it wasn't very successful. It was called Johnny Hangtime, which is a story about a kid who's a Hollywood stuntman, and he's always jumping out of windows and having himself set on fire. It's really exciting. I think it's my best book, but it was not a successful book. As far as series goes, I'm not sure how much you know about my other series besides My Weird School, because did you ever read any of my baseball card adventures like Hannes and Me? Yeah, and, there's 12 of these. I do a series called Flashback 4 about these kids who travel through time with a camera so that they can take photographs of things that were never photographed before, like Abraham Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address. And I do another series called The Genius Files about these two kids. Their names are Coke and Pepsi, by the way. And they're traveling cross country, across the USA, uh, over summer vacation with their parents while these bad guys are chasing them the whole time. So this is kind of like an action adventure series for older kids. But I will say that there's a special place in my heart for My Weird School, and it's been the most successful thing I ever did in my career.
So, do you think that you are going to continue writing more books for My Weird School?
Yes, yes. In fact, um, yeah, HarperCollins, who's the publisher, they have asked me to do six more after the current series ends. We're on, what are we on? Hang on a sec. We're on number 7 in My Weirderest School now. This is going to go to 12, and then after that, there's going to be at least 6 more, which will take us into the next 3 years, actually, because I do three of them a year. So for at least the next 3 years, I'll be doing this. And probably 3 years from now, Willie, these will be too babyish for you to read. You'll be reading adult you'll be reading adult books by then, I think.
No,
Uh,
I don't think so. Like I said, I really love your writing and how you like pull people in to keep reading. And with all your books, I like how you have like the same characters but introduce like one more, and I like how that's done. So, do you think that like when you started out writing My Weird School, do you think that you like were trying to do something like it has become, or did you start out with like a different idea?
I actually, when the series began, Willie, I didn't even know it was going to become a series. I just sent the first book, which was Miss Daisy is Crazy, to the publisher, and they accepted it, and I was happy about that. And I did tell them, look, this could become a series. Each book in the series could focus on a different grown-up at the school. And because the first book, was successful enough, they said, okay, how about doing 4 more? How about doing 4 more? How about doing 4 more? And now we're up past 80 of them. So I had no idea it was going to become as successful as it has. Oh, by the way, Willie, would you like to hear the titles of the next 4 books that are coming out?
Sure.
All right. Well, the next one coming out on June 15th is going to be called Miss Acre is a Maker. After that comes Mrs. Barr has gone too far. She's going to teach the kids about geography. After that comes Mr. Ott is a crackpot, and he is a softball coach because the kids are getting challenged to a charity softball game. And after that, I'm working on right now, Mrs. Stoker is a joker.
So when you were first like starting out, like not even like just writing in general, but like when you were young and in school, did you ever think that writing would be your thing, or did you just kind of like sports, for example, or
I like sports, yeah. Um, it never crossed my mind in a million years that I would end up doing this. When I was a kid, my hobby was photography. Actually, hang on, I'll show you something. My first camera, I still have it. This was my this was my family camera when I was a kid. This gigantic Polaroid camera, which was revolutionary in its time in the mid '60s. and I got into photography, and all through high school and college, this was my camera because I was the photography editor of my high school yearbook, and this is a film camera, and I used it for many years until the digital photography came along. I used to develop my own pictures and everything. Loved photography. I figured I was going to become a photographer, but it turned out that I was, even though I wasn't a big reader, I kind of naturally, writing came naturally to me. And I was, I guess, more talented at writing than I was at photography. So I went in this direction instead. And I guess I'm glad I did. But I still love photography today. Although now, of course, my camera is simply this. So the
Did
times
you,
change.
when you were writing, did you ever base your books off of some pictures that you took, or did you kind of just like write with like a free mind and what your inspirations were?
Well, two of my books have something to do with photography, actually. And one of them was called The Get Rich Quick Club, which is about these kids who they take these fake UFO pictures, and they try and sell them to the tabloids to make lots of money. And actually, that came out about because I used to work at a camp for handicapped kids when I was in college, and I was the photography teacher there. So what we did was we would take stuff and throw it up in the air and take pictures of it as it was up in the air. And if it was just a little bit fuzzy, it looked like a flying saucer. So that kind of led to the Get Rich Quick Club. And then again, as I mentioned, the Flashback 4 is about photography too. Kids who try and take photographs of things that were never photographed before, like Lincoln, like the sinking of the Titanic. There's no photograph of the Titanic sinking. Take a picture of Mount Vesuvius erupting and burying the city of Pompeii. And finally, they try and go back to the summer of 1804 and shoot a picture of the Alexander Hamilton Aaron Burr duel, which of course was never photographed either because photography hadn't been invented yet at that time. So yeah, photography is my thing, and I've used it sometimes in my writing, and it's inspired my writing sometimes.
So when you were writing the $1 million shot, I know there's like a few of them. Was this kind of off of your sports, like when you were young, or did you kind of just like sports and knew that this would be like an interesting series for kids?
It came out because I had done all those baseball books. Baseball is my favorite sport. And I had written, the Baseball Card Adventure series. I had written a bunch of nonfiction books about baseball too. And I really love baseball, but a lot of kids would tell me, "Hey, I don't like baseball. It's boring. It's too slow. How about writing about basketball? How about some of the sports that I really love?" And I thought, well, okay, basketball is hard to write about because it moves so fast. In baseball, everybody's standing around spitting and scratching themselves for a long time. and and it's easy to write about because you could talk about what's going to happen next. In basketball, it's just action. And I thought, how can I write a basketball story? And then I was watching a game on TV one night, and they had one of those contests. You've seen them where they pull a fan out of the crowd and they let them take one shot for a lot of money. And I thought, that's a basketball story. I can slow the game down to one shot. And that's what inspired the $1 million shot. And this was successful. So the publisher said, well, could you build on that? And I thought, yeah, I could do one about soccer called the $1 million kick. And I could do one about hockey called the $1 million goal. And I could do one about golf and call it the $1 million putt. And I could do one about bowling and call it the $1 million strike. So I did the whole series, and they're really fun. In each book, some kid gets the chance to do something that could win him or her $1 million. And if you haven't read them all, I will just say that the kid does not always make the shot. Sometimes they miss.
So I like, especially with this series, how you like pulled people in, and as you were saying, like they don't always make the shot. I like how you kind of take that and like know that in real life, people won't always make that shot because they're under a lot of pressure and stuff like that. So I really like
Right.
how you like added that into your books to make it like fiction but also nonfiction at the same time. So I really like how you did that. To any authors that are trying to write books like yours, have you do you have any like thing to say to help them get started or yeah?
Yeah. And I wanted to say one more thing about what you were just talking about, the $1 million series, which is that kids expect a happy ending, I think, to books and TV shows and movies. And I think it's kind of boring when you kind of know what's going to happen. So I always want to have a surprise ending. And that means sometimes there isn't a happy ending, which is fine. You asked me about some advice for authors, and be they kids or grown-ups. The first piece of advice, of course, is that you have to read My Weird Writing Tips. It's not some boring writing book, Willie. It's a My Weird School book, so it's funny and silly and crazy, but it will help you with your writing. And let me give you one tip from the book, which something that I use in my writing, and I think it would work for anybody, which is that when you're writing something, okay, write your first draft and look at it and read it out loud, okay? And here's the trick. While you're reading it out loud, pretend to be somebody else. Pretend to be your friend or your teacher or a complete stranger. And while you're reading what you wrote almost through somebody else's eyes, you can see the mistakes that you made and you could see how your writing could be smoother or better. And that's something that I do in my writing. And I think it would work for anybody. So that's my little tip.
When you were writing your My Weird School series, did you find that the characters were kind of based off the people that you maybe had in your classes, or did you kind of just think of like funny students that would like make up a classroom and yeah?
Well, I will tell you, first of all, the two main characters are AJ and Andrea. Okay, and AJ is kind of an obnoxious little boy, and Andrea is kind of a know-it-all, know-it-all. And most people assume that I probably was like AJ when I was a little kid. The truth is, I was in fact more like Andrea. I was a good student and I liked school growing up. But I will say that the two characters, they are named after real people. Um, First of all, the series was inspired by my daughter, Emma, when she was in second grade, and she was reading Junie B. Jones. And we both kind of thought there should be something like Junie B. Jones told by a boy. So that kind of inspired the whole series. And I named AJ because my son Sam had a friend named AJ. And I also like initial names, AJ, CJ, PJ, TJ, stuff like that. And I named the girl Andrea Young because when I was your age, there was a girl in my class named Andrea Young, and she was a big smarty pants know-it-all. So that's why I named the character that. And I hope the real Andrea Young never sees these books. Okay. But other than that, the other kids are just, regular kids. And the only grown-up who was based on a real person is Mr. Klutz, the principal, because I visited a lot of schools where the principal would do all these outrageous things to try and motivate the students to learn. And so I kind of patterned Mr. Klutz after that.
Is there anything else that you want to say to your like fans, I guess, or just anything you want to say in general?
Well, I would certainly say that to all the kids out there who are on Instagram, you can follow me at Dan Gutman Books. I know that kids are not allowed to be on Facebook, really, but their parents might be, and I hope they'll check out my Facebook fan page, and they can also follow me on Twitter. Um, I've been writing for a long time. I really enjoy it. I'm going to keep doing it as long as kids enjoy reading my books and publishers are willing to publish them. And I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate you reviewing books for kids and inviting me to be part of this. And if you have any other questions, Willie, I'm happy to answer them. Or if it's time to wrap it up, we could do that too. We got to do something to make you go viral. What can we do?
I don't know.
I got an idea. Okay. Did you ever see the movie E.T.?
No.
Okay. Well, in E.T., all right, the alien who takes his finger and he touches the boy's finger, Elliot. And so if you take your finger and put it towards your camera like I'm doing, we can touch fingers like ET, like that. We're touching fingers. All right. All right, Willie. Well, this was a lot of fun. I really thank you for inviting me,
Thank you for coming.
and thanks for reviewing my books too.
No
Appreciate
problem.
that. All right.
All right. See ya.
Take it easy, Willie.
Yep.
Bye now.
See ya.